Deep breath. My name is Jim Murphy, and I want to do a series on talking about gaming. I've been a passionate gamer all my life, and apparently after Matt Colville did an interview with me on his Interviewing of a Game Master series, which to this date I think is just me, a lot of people had real positive feedback and information for me. They all wanted to hear more about what I knew about my 40 plus years of gaming and the stories and the game systems and the role-playing that I've been through. And there's been a lot of it. So people have pushed me. I was like, hey, you've got to do a video series. And I'm like, oh, this is technology. And I'm old. And I wondered why anybody want to hear a video series from someone like me. And then it dawned on me that some people like antiques. I'm a game coochie boy. I would say game slut because I play everything, but my wife says that game slut is a nasty, mean word and I shouldn't use it because I will hurt people's feelings. And I don't want to do that. I just want to talk about gaming. So to that end, first a shout out to all the people who have been pushing me forward on this, and thank you very much. I apologize that I'm shooting this first video on my iPhone, but that's what I have. I'm looking over all the information that people have sent me about what cameras, I should get and use. So I'm going to try to find out which one is the easiest and most effective, because easy is what I like. And then I will try to build up the quality. I will likely always be a little behind on the tech end because I'm slow, and but I'll try to get it right. So we'll do that. First of all, what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about non-Dungeons & Dragons role-playing. A lot of games that I played all through the 70s forward, a lot of them I loved. A lot of them I would have rather had hot needles stuck in my eye than play again, but they were out there. I'll talk about D&D Zero, of course, because that's how the game started. I have an elaborate collection of D&D Zero figures that are painted, and I bring it out every once in a while to play it at anniversaries and things because people sort of like to see how the game originated. So I always have this is what it was like in 76 or this is what it was like in 75 version, and I run it out and play it for people, and they seem to enjoy it. They find out that the game is incredibly simple, and they're mystified that this is actually what led to everything. But at the time, it was revolutionary. When D&D Zero came out, I think most people had never seen anything like it. They didn't know what it was. People who weren't into gaming wanted to play. People who were really serious, avid miniature or board game players suddenly flocked to play. People who were into anything else. It just was so evocative that people enjoyed the gaming, and it became rabid, and it took off from there. And as obviously, and all you now know, the sky's the limit. It's just bigger and bigger and bigger every year. It's still a real niche market, so it's not like it's everywhere, but it has led to so many things. I think that Dungeons & Dragons led to all the successes of computer games in fantasy and everything else. And I'm seriously doubting that most of that would have ever really happened had there not been Dungeons & Dragons. So you always have to have the homage to that. I'm not going to talk about anything else in D&D because, frankly, Matt Colville has most likely mind-flared all the goodness that I have out of my brain, and he added all the qualities he has and all the qualities he's gained from other game masters and put it out for you in a really nice format. And there's no point in me trying to present something that's not going to be as good as what he's currently doing for you. But to the other role-playing games I know a lot about and some I like, those I do know a bunch about, and not many people talk about them, and I will. The other thing we're going to talk about is how to build a miniature collection. I am a rabid miniature painter. I'm a Golden Demon painter, but that's sort of a long time ago. I don't paint much competitively, and frankly, if I did, I wouldn't even get honorable mention. There are so many really excellent painters out there, but what I do well is speed paint. I've won 4 awards for speed painting. I am proudest of those. I can paint very quickly with a high level of quality, and that's what I do. And I can teach people how to do that. So I'd like to help you build and demystify painting. Realize that when people come up to me and say, I wish I could paint like you, my attitude is always the same. I can paint like you. And if you work with me for an hour, I can give you 70% of the quality skill I have, and then the rest is up to you. I've infested a lot of people with painting skills. I've infested a lot of people with the love of painting and collecting miniatures. People I knew who painted, like Don Hawthorne, who credit everything to me, and quite frankly, they're better painters. Steve Kish, who credit everything to me, and frankly, he was a better painter. I've now kind of infested Matt Coville. He's building a large collection of miniatures, many of which he paints, some of which he buys, which is a good way also to build a collection. Craig Steele, who originally said that why have miniatures when you have dice, I think now has a pretty nice collection of miniatures. And I kind of like to think that some of that had to do with my influence. Painting's not hard. We live in a time that's a lot of opportunities and a lot of different figures are out there. Some are incredibly beautiful, and I think people should really look into getting them. I'll give you an idea of how to start. That's usually the part that makes people difficult. It's hard to say when they look at the 4,000, 6,000, maybe more thousand miniatures I have that are painted. They think, I'll never get there. And, I didn't think I'd get there either. But over the years, you paint, you build a collection, and things go on. And eventually you have a massive collection. And then you can do what I did, which is give lots of them away or sell them on eBay to people who need them. Put them up cheap and let somebody get them and go, God, this is really awesome. Do you have more you'd sell? But we live at a time where it's easy to build a collection. Now with the pre-painted miniatures getting better and better in quality, you can do a lot with just buying figures, giving them a wash and a dry brush and a little flock on the base, and now you have a beautiful figure. The characters not so much, but the monsters are great. And as someone who wants to get you into gaming, DMs don't really need to paint characters. I mean, you're going to paint them as your players need them. Hopefully your painters will paint them, but if they don't, you'll end up building those as well. And then over the years, you end up with a collection of everything. But the monsters are important because that's what brings the story to life. I'll talk about miniature war games. Love them. Right now, I'm currently playing Bolt Action a lot. Painting armies for those. I'm painting my Poles because I thought the Poles got a bad break in history. And they always have sort of been kind of a gallant army to me. There's lots of historical miniature games. There's lots of fantasy miniature games. A lot of sci-fi miniature games, which are really good. We'll talk about board gaming. I love board gaming. I used to play competitive board gaming a lot. Now we have a site on YouTube called Gone But Not Forgotten Games, which Don Hawthorne and I do, strictly about board games. Things that you really ought to look at. Games that are great. Games that were really interesting, that were groundbreaking. But nowadays, with everything and the noise out there in the world, people have forgotten about, and some of them are worth seeing. So come on our YouTube site and take a look. And see if there's anything you're interested in. Of course, I'm always looking for feedback of what people want to know. I will talk about old gaming, old role-playing, back in the dark ages, what it was like, and it's fun. I enjoy talking about war stories, and we'll be glad to do so. I'll talk about non-Magic the Gathering CCGs. I was very passionate about those. I liked the Middle-earth CCG. I liked Jihad, which later became Vampire the Eternal Struggle. I really liked this little space game called Galactic Empires. It was a lot of fun. I played it a lot. Almost no one knew about it. It was very underfunded, and it was very difficult for a very small guy to try to be heard in a large world of CCGs at the time, because at that point, everybody was jumping into the CCG market. You had Star Wars and Star Trek and pretty much everything else that was out there. But anybody have anything that they want to be passionate about, they want to hear about, they want to talk about? I know Matt Coville put a video out on, I'm going to draw a mind blank here. I'm going to draw a mind blank. So I will move on. I apologize for not editing this video. Editing, of course, is complicated, and it seems to be very difficult on my phone. And to be very truthful, this is actually my second first intro video. I deleted the other one accidentally when I was trying to edit it. So don't tell Matt. He'll make fun of me if he hears that. A little bit about computer games, maybe. I play a lot. I like a lot. I've played they're time vampires. They suck me in, and then I get up and go, oh my God, how did I spend that many times? I have many stories of chicken bones and things like that. I'll give you an idea of what I want to do in the future. I would like to build, somewhere in the United States, a gaming museum, event location, tournament center, place to acquire unusual, rare, and interesting games for people who want to build their collections and things like that. Maybe expos, maybe tournaments, all these things I have experience in. And I don't want it to go away. I kind of feel at my advanced age, I want to get the information out there before I become room temperature. I want to get something set up so that other people can share in my love of hobby and be able to see it. I knew a man called Jack Scrooby, met a few times. He was a miniature gamer, a rabid back in the 50s and 60s, 70s. He then got into casting miniatures, and at the time he was the man. And now I feel like no one knows who he is. So I kind of want that not to happen. I don't want, when I go, for everything to sort of disappear. So to that end, I will start doing real videos. I will hopefully get some cameras and work on some interesting effects so I can give you video clips and pictures hooked in and all that. But in the meantime, I'm going to end this video because I'll likely botch it up before we get to the end, and I don't want to do that. So I need a moniker to get off, and in honor of Matt Colville and my grandmother, whose expression this is, fight me, devils, I hate peace.